All right, what's going on, guys? So here we had two trades today. Well, this one was a pre-market trade. I'm going to go over it, and then this was like the actual trade of the day. Executions are on the Discord. You could see this was the first. Ignore this. I was having issues with Project X, so then I had to like re-enter the trade, but it ended up playing out. And then this was the winning trade across all 5 accounts, and then boom, there it is. I just took that with one mini. So coming into the day, I was leaning short-term bearish to see this low resistance liquidity get run through, but overall, obviously, I'm still going to be maintaining a bullish bias because we are technically still like all-time highs trading, right? So basically, I got on my charts here. I'm going to show you guys this first trade that I took. This was pure discretionary, looking for a winning day. So this is not a typical trade that I take. I don't trade pre-market. So I seen these two 15-minute gaps stacked up right here, and I seen that we inversed it on the 15 minutes. So I basically took this with some micros, and I was like, okay, I want to see price flush down to take out this low resistance liquidity, maybe towards this 1 hour gap, because usually when we have a gap resting right below low resistance liquidity, price will just aggressively run through it into the gap. So I figured if we get this 15-minute inversion, I take this with some micros. I don't really care if I lose this. I just want to secure a winning day. I think this is a good trade overall. So I take it on the 15-minute inversion, stops above the 15-minute wick. So it's a 20 point stop. And then I was targeting, I usually target these candle bodies right here just in case. So that's all I was looking for. I was looking for an aggressive flush through. I went break even, or I never went break even. My idea was to go break even after we took out the first like London low, but we didn't end up doing that until market open. So market open, I get pretty lucky, wicks, and then it comes all the way down and ends up delivering perfectly to take profits. So we ended up catching like 50 points there with some micros. So like the point of that was just to secure the winning day, but whatever. So from there, what happens, we run through this low resistance liquidity and we tap into this 1 hour gap. Now, even though this is a small 1 hour gap, it's still relevant to us because it was resting below all this low resistance liquidity. So a lot of the times, again, price will run through low resistance liquidity and then respect this gap. And as you can see at the same time, it ends up sweeping this 15-minute low as well, while respecting this old 15-minute gap. And then from there, what happens, we start to get a recovery up. And if you guys seen at market open, obviously we had that wick up. We left that 930 wick. Let me just move this over. We left that 930 wick, and that's always going to be a strong draw on liquidity for price to target, right? So I see this 930 wick. We're delivering off of this 1 hour gap. So I'm thinking at this point that we could catch a long back up towards that 930 wick, right? So we took out all this sell side. Let me just clear this really quick. So I'm thinking that we can at least get a trade up to that 930 wick. Let me just refresh the page. I don't know what it's doing there. So yeah, we're delivering off this 1 hour gap. We have a 930 wick we could target. We clearly see we're rejecting. The only problem is that we are trading in this 5-minute bearish gap, but I'm really not paying attention to this at this point because like, where are we going to go for lower? If like, you know what I mean? Like there's a high probability we want to come up to this 930 wick first. So first entry that I saw, I just didn't get it, was this right here. You could see this candle right here at 947. We inverse this gap, but you can see how long it took. We do get nice displacement, and then this one as well was good. But personally, I was waiting for the 3-minute to close. I wanted to see if we could just get a strong close on the 3-minute. I always usually prefer the 3-minute just because it's kind of like an in-between between the 1 and the 5-minute. So we get this 3-minute strong close right here. We don't inverse this gap, but I just take the entry here. I see that the momentum is clearly bullish, and I'm thinking that we can at least get a quick break even here. The other thing is at this point, we're 5 minutes away from 10 a.m. red folder. So I'm thinking, okay, price should at least be able to carry us to that 930 wick with how strong the volume and the candle close here. We look like we want to push higher. The thing that was a little bit throwing me off was that ES had taken the 930 wick, but as you can see, it was displacing past it. So I was like, okay, ES is clearly bullish. Maybe it wants to continue up to these highs and it will pull us higher. So if you guys seen the video where I said when to go break even, I said if ES takes out the draw, but it still has draws higher, I usually will have faith in that trade still running, if that makes sense. So I really wasn't looking at this like an SMT. I was looking at this as like ES was the leading index and it was going to continue to pull us higher. So again, price is delivering off this 1 hour gap. We get this strong 3-minute close right here. Volume is clearly bullish. I enter the trade there, stops below the 3-minute body. I go break even at this 930 wick, and then I take full TP at these highs right here. And that was the total trade was about 2R, 73 points, risking 36 points. So that's it for me, guys. Again, the first short traded 15-minute inversion to the downside, market open, expecting price to run through this low resistance liquidity into that 1 hour gap, which it does. From there, we hop onto our main accounts, which are the Lucid accounts. Price is delivering off this 1 hour gap. We get confirmation to the upside. Again, I want to see price give a continuation or just some displacement towards that 930 wick. We get this 3-minute close right here. Entry there, stops below the body, break even at the 930 wick, TP at these highs right here. And again, I'm not going to fade this trade even though ES had taken out the 930 wick, because I'm looking at this as ES is the leading index and that it'll continue to pull higher, and that NQ was just going to be following along, even though ES did kind of do some, it was just weird, I don't know, but ended up working out. And yeah, that's it from you guys. We'll be back at it tomorrow. We'll see what we get then, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.